It's imperative that you get a good existing plan or the site information clear and available right at the start. So none of these things kind of pop up at the end. At least if you're aware of it at the start, it's not something that the client or anybody else is going to be surprised by when they go to start doing the extension. G'day guys, welcome to the MTDC Lounge. This is a podcast about the construction industry and what you can expect. Whether you're a bright-eyed renovator, a budding developer, or a seasoned vet, we will dive into the construction world, touching on what to expect, what's next, and how to go about it. We'll hear from a heap of experienced consultants and trades. Be sure to tune in for all aspects. So let's get stuck into the next episode. Good evening, guys, and welcome to the lounge. You're here with Matt, and I've got Mitch here again tonight. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good and ready to go.
Yeah, that's the way. Well, tonight we're going to be talking about what MT Design does to get plans ready for I guess, concept level, which is our existing details and plans. What we do to get all of the information with provided reports and all of the bits and pieces that go along with drawing up everything they've got.
Yeah. So basically, we're gonna cover off the site measure, what we do during the site measure, what things we're looking out for, and then I guess how that evolves into the existing plans and gives us a good launch pad to go into concepts.
That's the way. Yeah, nice one. All right. Well, I guess first off, once the client has accepted the quote, we organise a site measure and we go straight out. We usually get two guys to go out and do the site measure, and from that we start looking at, I guess, the room sizes that come with it and everything that goes on. Talk us through the process.
Yeah, so I guess we could talk about it going from inside to out. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll go through room by room, making sure that we're taking the measurements of the inside space of the room, the ceiling heights, windows, basically ironing out each room as its own element, and just picking up all those details so that when we go to put the existing plans together, essentially it's a jigsaw puzzle that we then put back together. The other things that we're looking for during the measure will be taking the site photos, making sure any of the odd details in an existing house captured as well. You've got the ceiling heights, any step downs, the materials as well is a big thing too. Making sure that we've got the wall thicknesses. What type of walls are they? Are they the plasterboard? Are they timber framed, brick? Those types of things as well.
Exactly. So while we're going through all the existing stuff, these are the things that we are capturing, and it's good practice for any good designer to make sure that all of the information that they capture while on site, particularly on the inside of the premises. It's all accurate. It's all available. It's there to make sure that whatever the concept is going to follow is going to be cohesive, I guess, and work together from the concept plan to the existing, because it does get quite expensive when they're doing the existing plans and they and you got to design to the existing parameters, I guess, like the existing design. If it's not covered, or if there's a window missing, or if there's a minor detail, big or small, it might throw off the whole concept design, and it could mean the difference between I guess an appropriate design or a good concept to one that's just not feasible or something that might be expensive.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to help out the builders on site as well. Like, we want to make sure that we've captured what's existing so that when we tell them what's being demolished, we know what windows are needing to be filled in. We know what needs to align with the existing walls that we're not touching. And I think too, there's a big importance on, regardless of the size of the job. Say you're only doing a small rear extension and you've got 3 or 4 rooms at the front of the house. I think there's a lot of there's a lot of merit in doing the measuring up of the entire house and having access to the entire house, because for one, you don't know if your scope is going to change at any point as well. But also, it's going to allow us, if we do an entire house measure, it also means that we can easily relay that back and compare it to the contour survey when we're putting that on plans as well.
Which is huge. We've touched on that on a couple of episodes before. Having the contour and all of the bits and pieces, the available reports added into the existing plans are, the foundation to any concept that gets created. Now, I mean, you touched on the rooms that need to be included on the existing plans. Now, even if it is a small extension to the rear, to the side, or wherever we're going, most of the time, a lot of the certifiers or the councilmen want to see what's going on in the house already. It becomes and it creates an opportunity for the council to assess the plans based on everything around it. And again, you mentioned that it's important for the builders to be aware of what's on the house, because God forbid, you put an extension backing onto a bathroom, and that bathroom might have pipe work through the stud walls and things like that, and then all of a sudden an easy reno could turn quite tricky.
Yeah, and turn tricky on site too after the approvals and things like that as well. So I think the more we can capture in the early stage, the better, and the clearer it's going to be for everyone involved. Like even the builders, like they'll be able to go to site, whether they're walking around, if they've got a good set of existing plans along with their concepts, they can, without even going to site, they can see exactly what's going on with the house, align that with some of the site photos that we've got as well, and it's going to paint a pretty good picture of what they've got to work with. And I mean, it could even just flag some complexities that might come out of it as well by having that.
It's important. It's important when our guys go out to site to take the measurements. They take a lot of site photos, and we take photos of details, even those funny little quirks, or those old school building ways that they do attachments to certain junctions or certain details, which are they're a bit wild when it can get to it, but like the bulkheads and the height differences and the rakes in the ceilings and all those funky little step downs. It's important to capture all of that, because they are the difference to a cost.
Yeah, and one thing I've learned is you can never have too many photos. Like we'll grab every corner, we'll grab as many photos as you can, because 9 times out of 10, the one photo that you need when you're drawing the plan to go, something's not quite adding up. Yeah. It's going to be the photo that you didn't grab. So
all the time, every time, that cheeky 300 mil somewhere, 300 mil wall somewhere, because it's a double skin brick wall. So yeah, every time, lots of photos, lots of measurements, lots of double checks. We take those photos even outside too. So we've got to make sure that how far away from the houses are, because these are imperative for compliant plans, even without the survey. If the survey has not been grabbed, it's important to know how far the distances are, because there's compliance factors when it comes to windows and the distances that they are from the boundary. There's compliances when it comes to wet areas changing to living areas. It's a common misconception that you can just chuck a bathroom in or a laundry in and not have to tell council about it. But as you and I are very well aware, once you change a living area to a wet area, it's not the same anymore. You have to get those compliance checks. You have to get it's not just there for the client or the homeowner. It's there for the builder and the waterproofer and all of the trades that are involved, to make sure that the structure's sound and it has been done compliantly and correctly.
Yeah, without a good set of existing plans, it makes it very hard to then have a good set of construction plans.
Exactly. So it's important to while we're out on site, it's also important to make sure that the construction details or the things that we're drawing or even going to do the concepts for is going to be a viable option. I mean, there's multiple times that we've gone to do a design on a set of plans that haven't been measured by us, or something that we haven't taken direct control of at the start, and there could be some crazy roof valleys in there, or there could be a junction in part of the wall, or there's a cheeky sunroom that's been kind of created, or an extra addition done to the house downstairs that council haven't approved, and then that becomes a whole issue in itself. It creates this problem where a design's been done or something's just been added without being council approved, and then we can find that the client could have to do the building information certificate, which causes a whole another kettle of fish of dramas.
Yeah. There's a whole range of things, but I guess the more that we can grab in that first at the site measure, the more it's going to be used by everyone who uses the plans all the way through.
Yep. So that's all of our inside stuff. So we want to make sure, ultimately we want to make sure that the measurements are right. We do our measurements to frame, so we make sure that all of those measurements are set like that. It's just a good way to do it. We're making sure that anything added is the gyprocs and the tiles and the bits and pieces. Now from the inside we move on to the outside. We want to make sure of what the external cladding is, whether it's brick, weatherboard, Hebel, all of that kind of stuff. We want to make sure that we're aware of it. We're capturing all of that because that makes a significant difference to all the measurements and the things that can be done outside too.
The subfloor as well, like getting access to underneath the house is really handy as well. Or even just determining whether there is a subfloor or whether it's a slab on ground. Because when we're doing the concepts or get to the engineering stage, we need to nominate what the existing structure is so that we know what we're going to attach to it. Are we extending bearers and joists from bearers and joists, or is it a slab extension, or do we need to do a slab on the back of bearers and joists? Like having that information is really important too. Seeing how much clearance you've got underneath as well, whether it's going to make sense to do an extension as a slab on ground or bearers and joists will play into that as well.
Yeah, so and then cost factors come into that. If we're moving that slab to the bearers and joists, there's the engineering cost factors that cost a whole lot more, particularly when you're joining the two different flooring systems. And then you've also got, if it's a slab, you're putting in a wet area. You've got to be cutting holes out for all your pipe work. Whereas if it's bearers and joists, you just get the fellas underneath there and just reroute everything. It becomes a really good question of whether or not your subfloor or your flooring system should match, or the foundations of your design really lays that foundation of which way to go. One of the supporting factors of the existing plans, and particularly with the flooring systems, are the mine subsidence. It plays a huge part, particularly while you're doing the designs and choosing that flooring system. Because of that existing check, you'd be easily able to decide whether or not the slab on ground or your piers and all your bits and pieces are being forced in a particular direction. Sorry.
Yeah, well, you'll find clues throughout the site measure and the photos and things like that as well. A lot of everything's going to be done for a reason. So if there's a particular detail on site, or some construction detail has been done a particular way, we're going to be able to look into it, or at least it's going to flag us to investigate further while we're doing the concepts, or talking to the builders or the engineers or whoever's looking at those plans.
And a common thing that we seem to get while we're in that concept or existing plan space, well, one of the main questions that we do ask is, what are you going to do with your roof? It's a huge thing. Like, are you going to continue doing your hip design? Do you want to move it to a gable? Are you looking at doing these funky things with your new concept? Because these play an important role of what your roof is made out of. Like, are you putting a skillion? Are you planning on just adding a skillion to your roof and joining it in? These are important factors, particularly if it's tile going into colorbond, or if you're going from colorbond to tile. It's these are important factors, and particularly the things that we do search for when you're out on site.
Yeah, touching on the ceilings. So we'll be doing the ceiling heights. Finding out where the rake ceilings are, if there are any, and how they're connecting to the rest of the house as well. Like you said, we need to know what those junctions are looking like, so that if we were to do an extension off that same, we know what's either going to be repeated or extended based on what's already there, or anything that's going to limit what we can do with the roof.
Well, yeah. So if you've got that rake ceiling, we all know it really well. You see it all the time in Newcastle. You've got that rake ceiling, and you've only got a certain degree that you can go to for the roof. Your ceiling height, whether it's raked or flat, can only ever be as high as the lowest point of that ceiling, or you're going to end up with these bulkheads, or you're going to end up with these angles that are sitting just really prominently through what could be a flat ceiling, or just a minor detail that we've got to make sure that we design to with the appropriate existing plans.
Yeah, I mean you don't want to get to the case where if a roof angle or where the roof is sitting hasn't been picked up in the existing plan stage. You go all the way through the construction and then go, okay, we actually need to frame out a bulkhead to this entire side of the house because it's slightly lower than the rest of the house. And they're things that you wouldn't find until you're on site unless you pick up on it at the measure or the existing plans.
That's exactly right. And with the photos, how many times have we gone out for a site and then all of a sudden there's a lower bulkhead or something like that, or there's a step in, there's a small little step hidden somewhere around on the floor plan, and it's just all of a sudden just thrown out, all of the heights, and then we've got to kind of work our way backwards to find out why is that step down and why is that rake the way it is, because there's just some sort of construction detail there that might have been done. And you find it all the time when you get to somebody who's just tacked something on, or just a home builder that's just wanted an extra room for no reason, and then all of a sudden it's not done properly. And then these are the points that the builders want to know too. If it's somebody that's had the plans or had the house prior to somebody else, and they've just been a guy that knows something about something, and then all of a sudden it hasn't been done properly, it becomes again an added cost, which can really play a factor on it.
Yeah, I think, some of the other things that I guess we're looking at for the site visits and the photos, particularly on the outside. So we've had a bit of a talk about the roofs and things. Another important thing would be to look at where the downpipes and the gutters and where all the water's going as well. Like you'll get a good clue from some of those other reports that we spoke about as well. But the first thing would be at the street curb, finding out, do you have a street curb outlet? That's always a good indicator that things are going to be probably nice and easy.
Well, if you can get the height right, if you can get the height from the gutters to the street curb first, because I mean, if you're on a goat track and your roof isn't high enough to get the fall to the street, then you have to find a way to get rid of that water on site, or if it's not on site, you've got to find a way to pump it to the street, and these are things that are important and become an issue. Yeah,
so that's when you'll start looking for, right, if there's no street outlet, then okay, there hopefully will be a pit or somewhere to drain water at the back of the block, and then if not, then you've got, okay, then you definitely either charge it to the street, pump it to the street, or deal with it on site. But capturing that will be part of that site measure in the photos as well, just having a look around, knowing your site.
Part of the contour as well, because you'll identify whether or not there's an easement for the draining of water. There's usually easements, and I think correct me if I'm wrong, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the gutter height has to be roughly around 500 mil, I think it was, above the street curb, just to make sure that they get that charge. And by charge we mean there's a system in the downpipes that we charge that water back up the hill, so it gets released.
Yeah. And sometimes that might not get you quite out of trouble either. And if council, or if it's a new build and for basics you need a water tank, all of a sudden it's not the gutter height, it's the top of the water tank height.
That's right.
Then you might need to go get a stormwater design done by an engineer to make sure water can actually still charge out. You can see they all have these flow-on effects, pardon the pun.
yeah, absolutely. And again, it's imperative that you get a good existing plan, or the site information clear and available right at the start, so none of these things kind of pop up at the end, like something to design for early on. And at least if you're aware of it at the start, it's not something that the client or anybody else is going to be surprised by when they go to start doing the extension. I mean when you've got your easements to drain water, you've also got the sewer. if there's got to be a sewer line somewhere, and your house has got to be connected to something somewhere. So you might be unlucky enough to get a sewer manhole inside your property. It does happen. It costs money to move it, but you have to stay away from it. I think the last time I had a conversation, it was about 1,500 mil away from a sewer manhole, which are the big grey ones that are just sitting out there.
Yeah, like I was talking to a client the other day, and we completed the site visit and had a bit of a chat to them, and seen that there was this sewer manhole on the site, and like, right, this is really close. Like, we're talking less than a meter off the back of their sunroom. They wanted to convert this sunroom into a habitable area, change it to a bedroom, and then we're talking about, right, Hunter Water are going to need to approve these plans. We're currently already too close to the sewer manhole. What are our options? In that case, we would have to design around that. So even before we're like, this is before we've quoted or done the measure, but we're having these conversations to make sure, by looking on site, these are the limitations that you're going to be faced with for the design and for the concepts.
It's definitely one of the first things that I point out. Like you'll find the stink pipes, or you find the toilet pipes that you'll find in some of the older places that if they're popping out of the ground, you go, there's a sewer line here, or there's a manhole here. These are the things that we need to stay away from, or it's going to cost us money, or it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. And there's been sometimes, I don't know if you remember the job we were doing a job for somebody who just wanted a shed. It was quite a large shed, and they actually buried the manhole. Do you remember that one?
Yeah,
and we didn't even know about it until we got what was it? We got the dial before you dig, so we got them for them, and then we got through the whole application because it sounded pretty straightforward, and then when we got the dial before you dig and it came through, it was you can't build there. You're right on top of our manhole, and then
it's like, where?
where can't find it, and then we ended up they ended up having to dig it up and move it out and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's super important. But yeah, obviously where there's a manhole, there's also sewer inspection pipes. Sewer inspection pipes are the really the unassuming. I think they're about 150 mil pipes that kind of hang out some of them have a white cap on them. The old ones have the old iron with the big S on it.
Some of them are buried.
Some of them are buried. You never see them. Yeah. So those ones are a little bit more easier to change, and I'm pretty sure I know Hunter Water particularly are okay with it. I mean, obviously, there's just a bit of an application and a cost to them, but they do also cause a bit of an issue when it comes to design as well.
Yeah, the more we can find out at that stage, the better. Like, the sewer lines themselves aren't too much of a hassle. You can build over them. As long as you're bridging over them and things like that gets properly engineered. The sewer manholes themselves, sewer inspection points, they're things that we're looking out for when we're doing the measure, taking the photos. We'll be taking photos where they are. Additional measurements to go, right, this is how close it is on site, so we know how close we can design to.
And that's where the survey comes important as well. We want to make sure that we're aligning. If we've got the survey or the contour has been done, the detailed contour, we're making sure that our stuff aligns, particularly with all the measurements and the outside measurements. If something's not aligning, or if something's been picked up that we've missed, it's important to identify exactly what it is that we've missed, so we can make sure that any designs that are following this one is taking it into account.
Yeah, well, I think it's like it's important to mention, with all of these things that we're finding and looking for, like, we're not trying to put holes in the design or anything, because all of these hurdles, you just design around them or factor them into the design so that they're not going to come up at last minute and cause all of these issues.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Where there's a will, there's a way, right? And you're not exactly, when we're doing the existing plans and when we're capturing the existing information, we're identifying that as soon as humanly possible. So there's no heartbreak at the end, or there's nothing that's going to cause any issues or cost any more money or undue pain through the process. Now, I guess what we've got to assess as well is that, full access to the entire property. We need to make sure that everything is available. Like, we need to be able to get through to everything, even if it might not be important. It might be something that we miss. And if we can't capture that, then, it causes, again, problems. That it's so important to make sure that all of these existing plans or existing information is captured at the right time.
Yeah, the more we can get in and see and document, the better. It's just a safeguard for the entire project all the way to the end of construction. The more we can see and let everyone know that, hey, there's this particular issue here. We might not be designing anywhere near it, but it's here in case either the scope changes or the builder might be wanting to know about these things, or anyone might want to know, or even the homeowner might not be aware that there's a sewer manhole buried in their yard. They might not be touching it, but it's there.
Yeah. You got to get this knock on the door saying from Underwater that they want access to your backyard manhole and you don't know where it is. Yeah. No, but I guess when we get those designs done, there's been countless times that we've had those people sitting at the side on the other side of the desk, and while we're talking to them about the existing plans, we identify them on the plans at the same time, but I make sure it's a point that we talk to the clients about the zone of influence for the sewer. We work off a 1,500 mil on either side of the sewer line, approximately, because, we always try to get as close as possible, but 1,500 mil on either side of that sewer line to make sure that we're within that space. Now, if they do start to go into that area of the zone of influence, as you said, completely okay, you can do that. It's another application to the water board or whoever's looking after the situation, and it's a matter of peering down or bridging over that sewer line to make sure that they're not going to do any damage to that sewer. So when we capture that through the dial before you dig or through the contour survey that's been received, we can identify that on the site while we're doing the existing plans and presenting them.
Yeah. Just flagging it as early as possible. Whether it's going to have any design consequences or not. It's flagging it. It's here. That's what we do.
There's for that particular, what we're talking about here is a lot of renovation talk. These are renovations and are existing parameters and all this kind of stuff. We haven't even touched on the new builds yet. So particularly with one of the jobs that we've done recently, one of the things that wasn't identified was the location of the gas meters and the gas points. How do you connect the new build to the house? I know this particular job had the gas meter installed on the wrong side, completely on the complete wrong side.
Missed it.
Yeah, completely missed it. And that was going to cost the client almost $6,500-7,000 to either reroute the gas points to the right side of the house, or you're asking the gas board to come and connect the property properly. So there's the gas points we have to pay attention to. NBN's now a massive thing. You got the fiber to the nodes, or you've got the fiber to the properties as well. So if you're not connected, or if your portions or your provisions aren't connected to where they should be, it becomes an expensive exercise to make sure that you're retrospectively fitting or at least designing for that kind of stuff as well. And a lot of the estates now, they don't do overhead power lines anymore. It's all underground. So, power pits, NBN, phone lines, gas points, these are all huge things that need to be taken into account, particularly when you're designing for a new home as well.
Yeah, so with in particular with the new builds, or in fact for new builds or the renovations, once we've got that information, we've done our site visit, we've done the site measure, everything that we're keeping an eye out for on the block, we'll then tie that back with all of those either free reports or the paid reports that we've already got at that stage. And that sort of ties it up as an existing plan set or an existing parameter set. You've got a whole range of detail there. You've got all your reports. You've got all of the due diligence that we're doing on site, the site photos. And I guess that really launches us into the concepts.
Yeah, absolutely. And all of that information that's available to us, or any designer, as a matter of fact, as long as all of that information has been received and it's all accurate, it gives us a great opportunity to start the concepts on the right foot without having to backpedal and change the plans later. Having these reports give that client an opportunity to have the right concept that follows the rules and follows all of the compliance, and make sure that everything is sitting exactly where it should in regards to all of those existing reports or bits and pieces that we capture, and they are right. They're right the first time, and they're designed to those factors immediately.
Yeah, you don't want to go in blind. You don't want to. You want to get all the information available, assess it, find out what carry-on effects this has or what limitations there are. Because there's no point doing a really nice design that doesn't work because you're on top of a sewer manhole or any range of things that could come out of it. You want to save time, you want to save money, you want to get it done right the first time, and then you've got, hey, look, this is exactly what's happening with your site. This is where all the existing rooms are, or if it's a new build, this is what would be the contour or all of the things that we've picked up. Now let's launch into your concepts and talk about what role some of these things we've found could either have on the concepts or the design, or even if it doesn't, it's still something that the client should be aware of.
Absolutely. It could mean the difference between a great concept straight up that's nice and easy to price up to all of these nasty variations and costs that might get involved right at the end of the day, whether the build's already started or before it's even got to council. These are variations that will make or break a design, and I think it's important to make sure that all of this information is captured straight away, early, and dealt with as soon as possible. Righto, thanks for joining me again tonight, mate. It's always good to have a good chat about what we do as a business and how we look after our clients. It's particularly about the existing plans. It's important to make sure that we capture everything, get the existing plans right the first time to be able to give a good concept first up, or at least as close as they need to, without any compliance issues or anything that follows that. And again, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate you coming out and having a listen. If you have any questions or anything that you'd like us to follow up on, please feel free to send us an email. We'll ask those questions, we'll get those answers. If you do want to follow up on any of those episodes with the free or the paid reports, have a peek down below in the description. We've got some links there. Have a watch and go and get them, or get us to have a search for you. All right, have a good night. See you later.